Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I want you to hear me today because what I am about to share with you will change how you see the people around you. God has a way of revealing the truth. He is not a God of confusion. He is a God of clarity, wisdom, and purpose. And when you walk in His purpose, He will expose the people in your life who do not belong. Some of you are struggling right now because you don't understand why certain relationships are falling apart. But let me tell you, when God is getting ready to elevate you, He will first separate you. Now let's understand this. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Not everyone who prays with you is walking with God. Not everyone who celebrates you is truly for you. Some people are only attached to you because of what you can do for them. Some people are only around because they are feeding off your favor. But when the season shifts, when God starts moving you into your next dimension, those who are not meant to go with you will be exposed. Conflict and betrayal are not accidents. They are divine tools that God uses to reveal the hearts of the people around you. Sometimes we become so comfortable with certain individuals that we fail to see who they really are. We assume that just because someone walks with us, laughs with us, and even prays with us, they are for us. Because we're fearful that the person that we pray with has with us and even prays with us. But let me tell you something. Loyalty is not proven in good times. Loyalty is tested in difficulty. And it is in the moments of conflict and betrayal that God exposes who truly belongs in your life. Think about Jesus. He had 12 disciples, and among them was Judas. Judas wasn't an outsider. He wasn't a stranger. He was in the inner circle. He sat at the table, heard every teaching, witnessed every miracle, and walked closely with Jesus. Yet, in the moment of testing, he sold out the very person who had trusted him. What does that tell you? It tells you that just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they are connected to you. There are people in your life right now who are only around because of what they can gain. They appear loyal, but deep down their heart is not with you. And you will never know who they truly are until the right situation exposes them. God allows conflict because it is a revealer of intentions. There are people who are smiling in your face today, but the moment you face opposition, the moment things stop benefiting them, they will change. Some people will be with you as long as you serve their interests, but when God shifts you into another season, when you begin to grow, when you start walking in your purpose, suddenly they turn against you. That is not an accident. That is a revelation. God is showing you that their loyalty was never to you. It was to their convenience. Betrayal is painful, but it is necessary. If Jesus had not been betrayed, the cross would not have happened. And if the cross had not happened, salvation would not have come. That means even betrayal serves a purpose. Sometimes God will allow people to betray you, not to destroy you, but to position you. Because if they had stayed, they would have blocked what God is trying to do in your life. Some people are not meant to go with you to your next level. And the only way God can remove them is by allowing conflict to separate you. When someone betrays you, don't chase them. Don't beg them to stay. Let them go. Because their exit is a part of your elevation. What they meant for evil, God will turn for good. That betrayal is pushing you into your destiny. Some of you are crying over relationships that ended, friendships that fell apart, and people who walked away. But hear me, you are not losing them. God is rescuing you. Because if they were truly for you, they would have stayed. When someone can easily turn against you, that means their heart was never fully with you in the first place. God is too wise to allow the wrong people to stay in your life. So He will use conflict as a tool to reveal their true nature. You will notice that some people suddenly become distant. Some start acting differently. And some even turn into your enemies. That is not a coincidence. That is divine exposure. God is pulling back the curtain and showing you who they really are. And when He does, do not ignore it. Do not try to hold on to what He is trying to remove. Because the longer you hold on to fake people, the longer you delay your destiny. What you thought was a betrayal was actually a blessing. What you thought was rejection was actually protection. What you thought was the end was actually a new beginning, because every time someone leaves, God sends the right person. Every time a door closes, a better one opens. Every time someone walks away, God draws you closer to his plan. So do not be afraid when conflict comes. Do not be discouraged when people turn against you. It is not the enemy working. It is God revealing. And when God reveals, it is always for your good. Success does not change people. It only reveals who they truly are. When God begins to bless you, when he starts elevating you, and when his favor rests upon your life, the people around you will start to show their real intentions. Some will celebrate you while others will secretly despise you. Some will remain loyal while others will start distancing themselves. Some will be happy for you while others will be jealous of what God is doing in your life. It is not success that causes these reactions. It is the exposure of what was always in their hearts. There are people who are comfortable with you as long as you remain on the same level. As long as you are struggling, as long as you need their help, as long as they feel superior to you, they are fine. But the moment God lifts you, the moment you start walking in your assignment, the moment his favor becomes visible on your life, suddenly the atmosphere changes. You will notice shifts in behavior, sudden distance, unexplained coldness, and in some cases, outright opposition. This is not by accident. This is God allowing your success to bring out what was always hidden. Joseph's brothers loved him when he was just their little brother. As long as he was just another member of the family, they had no problem with him. But the moment he had a dream, the moment he spoke of a vision greater than their expectations, jealousy entered their hearts. His own brothers, his own flesh and blood, the very people who should have supported him, became his greatest opposition. Not because of what he did to them, but because of the favor on his life. They couldn't stand the idea that God had given him something greater. They threw him into a pit, not because he hurt them, but because they could not handle what God had placed in him. Some of the attacks you are facing right now have nothing to do with what you have done wrong. The criticism, the gossip, the backstabbing. It's not about your mistakes. It's about your favor. It's about the blessing you carry. It's about what God is birthing in you. Some people cannot handle the light that God has placed on your life, so they will try to dim it. Some will pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. Some will befriend you only to monitor your progress. They are not with you because they love you. They are with you because they are trying to figure out how to keep up with you. When God blesses you, he is not just giving you favor, he is giving you discernment. He is showing you who truly belongs in your life. He is exposing the people who were only there for what they could get from you. There are people who loved you when you were struggling but cannot stand to see you succeed. They were fine when you were borrowing money, but now that you are financially stable, they are offended. They supported you when you were single. But now that God has blessed you with a family, they are envious. They were happy when you were at the bottom, but now that God has raised you up, their true colors are showing. Do not be surprised when people who once walked with you start walking away. Do not be discouraged when relationships begin to shift. Success is a filter. It removes the wrong people and leaves the right ones. It may be painful to see certain friendships end, but it is necessary for where God is taking you. You cannot carry dead weight into your destiny. God is pruning your circle, not to hurt you, but to protect you. When favor is on your life, you don't have to chase people. Those who are meant to be with you will celebrate what God is doing, and those who were never truly for you will expose themselves. Pay attention. Because success is not just about what you gain, it's about what you lose. And sometimes losing the wrong people is the greatest blessing of all. Separation is not always a sign of something going wrong. Sometimes it is a sign that God is moving you into something greater. There are moments in life when God will deliberately separate you from certain people, places, and situations, not to punish you, but to prepare you. When God has a plan for your life, He will not allow you to stay connected to things that will hinder your destiny. He will remove what is unnecessary. He will cut off what is holding you back, and He will reposition you for what He has in store. The challenge is that many people fight against divine separation because they do not recognize that it is part of God's process. There are relationships you are trying to hold on to that God is trying to end. There are places you keep running back to that God has already removed you from. There are connections you are trying to restore that God has intentionally broken. The problem is not that God is silent. The problem is that many people do not want to accept His answer. When God separates you from something or someone, it is because He sees what you cannot see. He knows what is ahead, He knows what is hidden, and He knows what is best for you. Abraham had to separate from Lot before he could step into the fullness of what God had promised. As long as Lot was with him, there was confusion, there was conflict, and there was delay. It was only after they parted ways that God revealed the next phase of Abraham's destiny. There are people in your life who represent Lot. They are not necessarily bad people, but they are not meant to go where God is taking you. They were part of your past. They were part of your journey, but they cannot be part of your future. The longer you try to hold on to them, the longer you delay what God is trying to do. Sometimes separation happens through betrayal. There are people who walk away, who reject you, who turn their backs on you, and you wonder why. But what if their departure is a blessing? What if their exit is actually God's way of setting you free? You may not understand it now, but later you will look back and thank God that certain people left. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life happen after a painful separation. Other times, God will separate you by shifting your desires. What once excited you no longer satisfies you. What you used to enjoy now feels empty. The friendships you once depended on no longer feed your spirit. The conversations you used to engage in now feel meaningless. That is a sign that God is pulling you into a higher dimension. When your spirit begins to outgrow your environment, it is an indication that a divine separation is taking place. You cannot elevate while staying connected to things that keep you grounded. One of the hardest things for people to accept is that some separations are permanent. There are people who were only meant to be in your life for a season. They played their part, they served their purpose, but now their time is up. The mistake many people make is trying to extend temporary relationships into permanent ones. When God removes someone, do not chase after them. Do not try to force what He has ended. Let them go, because the longer you hold on to what He has separated you from, the more you delay what He is trying to bring into your life. Divine separation is never meant to destroy you. It is meant to position you. It may feel painful, but it is necessary. It may feel like a loss, but it is actually a gain, because every time God takes something away, it is only to make room for something greater. If you trust Him in the process, you will soon realize that what you thought was a setback was actually a setup for something far beyond what you could have imagined. Discernment is the ability to see beyond what is visible, to hear beyond what is spoken, and to sense what is not being said. It is a gift from God that allows you to navigate through life with wisdom, avoiding deception, distractions, and unnecessary pain. The most dangerous enemy is not the one that stands against you openly, but the one that pretends to be with you while working against you in secret. This is why spiritual discernment is not optional, it is necessary. It is the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is false, what is from God and what is from the enemy, what is for your future and what is meant to pull you back. There are people, opportunities, and situations that look good on the surface but are not from God. If you only judge by appearance, you will be deceived. Not everything that sounds right is right. Not everyone who speaks well has a good heart. Not every door that opens is meant for you to walk through. There are some relationships that feel right, but are sent to destroy you. There are some voices that sound wise but are meant to manipulate you. This is why you cannot rely on human reasoning alone. You need discernment. The enemy does not always come dressed as an enemy. He often comes disguised as a friend, a business partner, a mentor, or even a spiritual advisor. He comes as something familiar, something appealing, something that looks harmless. This is why people get trapped, because they do not discern. Eve did not recognize that the serpent was a deceiver. Judas did not look like a traitor until the right moment. Delilah did not seem dangerous until Samson had lost his strength. Deception does not announce itself, it hides, waiting for the right time to strike. But when you have discernment, you see beyond the surface. You recognize the spirit behind the words. You sense the motive behind the actions. There are moments when your spirit will feel uneasy, even when everything looks perfect. You will hear words that sound right, but something deep inside you will not agree. That is discernment. It is the Holy Spirit warning you before destruction comes. It is God speaking before the enemy sets his trap. It is the divine ability to know what human wisdom cannot understand. And if you ignore it, you will regret. Many people have ended up in painful situations, not because they were not warned, but because they ignored the warning. They ignored the discomfort. They ignored the signs. And they walked blindly into deception. Discernment is not just for protection, it is also for direction. There are times when God is speaking, but his voice is not loud. It is a whisper, a prompting, a small nudge in your spirit. If you are too distracted, too busy, too caught up in your own thoughts, you will miss it. God will tell you when to move and when to wait. He will show you who to trust and who to avoid. He will reveal where to invest your time and where to walk away. But if you are not listening, you will make decisions based on emotions rather than wisdom. The key to sharpening your discernment is staying connected to God. The more you pray, the clearer you hear. The more you spend time in his presence, the more sensitive you become to his voice. Discernment is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. It is a constant awareness of the spiritual reality behind the physical world. It is the ability to walk in wisdom when others are walking in confusion. It is the power to see the unseen, to hear what is not spoken, and to know what is hidden. And when you walk in discernment, you will avoid unnecessary battles, wasted time, and painful mistakes. You will move with confidence, knowing that every step you take is guided by the wisdom of God. Letting go is never easy, especially when you have invested time, love, and energy into people you thought would be in your life forever. But one of the greatest lessons you will ever learn is that not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some people are only assigned to a season, and when that season ends, you must be willing to release them. Holding on to the wrong people will not only slow you down, but it will also prevent you from receiving what God has prepared for you. God removes people for a reason. Sometimes he sees what you cannot see. He hears the conversations you were not meant to hear. He knows the motives hidden behind the smiles, the jealousy concealed behind the compliments, and the betrayal waiting behind the embrace. When God starts to separate you from certain relationships, do not fight it. Do not beg people to stay who have already shown you they are ready to leave. Do not hold on to what God is trying to remove. Let them go and do it gracefully. Letting go does not mean you are bitter. It does not mean you hold grudges. It does not mean you seek revenge. It means you trust God enough to release what is no longer meant for you. Some people will walk away without explanation. Some will betray you after years of loyalty. Some will change without warning. Do not waste time trying to figure out why. Do not chase after closure that may never come. Do not let their departure shake your confidence or cause you to question your worth. Their exit is not your loss, it is your protection. When Saul turned against David, David did not fight to remain in Saul's palace. He understood that sometimes the people you admire the most are the ones God will remove to position you for something greater. David did not argue, he did not retaliate, and he did not beg to stay. He left gracefully because he knew that where he was going was greater than what he was leaving behind. Sometimes God will allow rejection to push you into your purpose. If Saul had never rejected David, David would have never stepped into his destiny as king. When someone walks out of your life, let them go in peace. Do not speak against them. Do not try to prove yourself. Do not allow bitterness to consume your heart. Let them leave and bless them as they go. How you handle separation determines how God promotes you. If you release the wrong people with grace, God will replace them with the right ones. But if you hold on to resentment, if you keep looking back, if you keep questioning what went wrong, you will delay what God is trying to bring into your life. Some people are not bad, they are just not assigned to your future. They were good for where you were, but they cannot handle where you are going. They were comfortable with your past, but they are threatened by your growth. They were fine with your struggles, but they are intimidated by your success. When God starts elevating you, the wrong people will either leave voluntarily or be removed by force. Do not hold on to relationships that have expired. Do not try to resurrect what God has already buried. Letting go is an act of faith. It means trusting that God knows what He is doing, even when you do not understand. It means believing that what is ahead is better than what is behind. It means surrendering your relationships to God, knowing that He will never take away something without replacing it with something greater. If you release the wrong people with peace, God will send the right ones with purpose. If you let go with grace, you will step into the next season of your life with strength, wisdom, and favor. The people you surround yourself with will either push you toward your destiny or pull you away from it. You were never designed to walk through life alone, but neither were you meant to be connected to just anyone. There are relationships that drain you. There are people who take from you, and there are people who pour into you. This is why you must be intentional about who you allow into your inner circle. Not everyone deserves access to your life. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. Some connections are divine, and some are distractions. If you are going to fulfill your purpose, you must surround yourself with divine connections. Divine connections are people who are assigned to your destiny. They are not in your life by accident. They are placed there by God. They challenge you to grow. They inspire you to become better. They see what God has placed inside you, even when you do not see it yourself. When you are discouraged, they remind you of the vision. When you feel like quitting, they push you forward. They do not compete with you. They complete you. They do not envy your success. They celebrate it. They do not drain your energy. They fuel your passion. Jonathan was a divine connection to David. Even though Jonathan was the rightful heir to the throne, he recognized that David was chosen by God. Instead of becoming jealous, he protected David. Instead of fighting against him, he supported him. That is what divine connections do. They do not try to destroy what God is building in you, they help strengthen it. If someone is always trying to bring you down, always questioning your dreams, always doubting your vision, they are not a divine connection. They are a distraction. One of the greatest tricks of the enemy is to keep you surrounded by the wrong people. He knows that if he can connect you to the wrong voices, he can delay your destiny. The wrong relationships will drain your energy, weaken your faith, and fill your mind with doubt. Some people are not your enemies, but they are also not meant to be in your future. They are comfortable with who you used to be, but cannot handle who you are becoming. They were fine with your struggles, but cannot handle your success. They enjoyed your weakness, but cannot handle your strength. When you start walking in your divine assignment, the wrong people will start feeling uncomfortable. Divine connections are people who sharpen you. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. That means you need people around you who will challenge you, correct you, and hold you accountable. You do not need people who will only tell you what you want to hear. You need people who will tell you the truth in love. You need mentors who have already walked the path you are on. You need friends who will pray for you, not just talk about you. You need people who will push you closer to God, not pull you away from Him. If you want divine connections, you must also be a divine connection. You cannot expect God to send you the right people if you are not willing to be the right person. Be someone who encourages, not someone who discourages. Be someone who uplifts, not someone who tears down. Be someone who speaks life, not someone who spreads negativity. Divine connections are not just about receiving, they are also about giving. When you become the right person, the right people will be drawn to you. Be intentional about your relationships. Do not keep people in your life out of history. Keep them because they add value to your destiny. If a relationship is draining you, it is not divine. If a relationship is distracting you from God's plan, it is not divine. If a relationship is keeping you stuck in the past, it is not divine. The right people will not pull you backward. They will push you forward. They will see what God sees in you, and they will help you become everything He has called you to be. Surround yourself with divine connections and watch how God takes you to the next level. Brothers and sisters, in this season of your life, God is cleansing your circle. He is exposing, He is removing, and He is elevating. Do not fight what God is doing. Let the wrong people go and watch how God brings the right people into your life. May God bless you and give you the wisdom to walk in divine relationships.